Addy, a heart full of hope.
I'm reading from this
ZH,
book, Addy, A
6.
Heart Full of Hope, and I'm reading chapter 6. So here we go. Chapter 6, Seeds of Hope. There we go. 2 months after her birthday celebration, Addy stood in the middle of the garden with her eyes closed and her face tilted up to the late afternoon sun. She loved the feel of its warmth on her face. Papa called to Addy. "What are you doing? Resting? You're supposed to be breaking up the ground so we can plant some seeds." "I'm trying," Addy said. "But it's hard, Papa." "Of course it's hard," said Mama, who was working with a pitchfork. "Nothing good comes easy." "I don't mean that kind of hard," said Addy. "I mean the ground. Real hard. I can't get my hoe to break through." "Let me help you," Papa said. Addy, Mama, and Papa, who were working in a large garden about a mile from their boarding house. There wasn't enough room where they lived for a garden, so they had rented a small plot and were planting some vegetables and a few flowers. Other people had rented plots in the garden too. Addy watched Papa easily break through the surface of the ground with his shovel. The dirt on top was a lighter color than the dirt deeper down. Papa picked up a big clump of earth that was as dark as coffee. "Look how rich this earth is," Papa said. "We're gonna harvest a heap of vegetables and raise the money we need." Addy knew the money they would make from selling their vegetables would help them in their search for Esther and Sam. Ever since the war had ended, Addy, Papa, and Mama had tried to reunite their family. They had taken letters to aid societies, written to the Freedmen's Bureau, and placed an ad in the Christian Recorder newspaper. They had even sent a letter to Master Stephen's plantation, where they had been slaves, hoping someone would read it to Auntie Lula and Uncle Solomon. But they had not received any answers or any news about their family. Now Papa was determined to go back to the plantation to get Esther and to find out where Sam might be. Papa would need money for his trip. Addy worked to clear out a thick patch of weeds in the middle of the plot. Some of the weeds had burrs that snagged her dress and dug into her skin. The weeds were stubborn, and Addy had used all her strength to yank them out of the ground. Soon her back ached from bending over, and sweat ran down her face. "Let's stop to rest," Mama said, "and have our picnic." So that's the picture of them digging in the garden. Mama had packed up their dinner from the boarding house and brought it to the garden. Addy was happy to take a rest. Resting hadn't been allowed back on the plantation. Addy shuddered, remembering her life when she was a slave, when she worked in the tobacco fields. She couldn't stop when she was tired or have a drink of water unless the overseer said she could. But it was different now. Mama spread an old blanket on the ground. As they ate, Addy said, "If you had the chance to ask God a question, what would you ask?" "That's easy for me," answered Mama. "I'd ask how we can get Esther, Sam, Auntie Lula, and Uncle Solomon here safe in Philadelphia with us." Addy turned to Papa. "What about you, Papa?" "I don't know, but I might ask how I got a daughter that asks so many questions," Papa chuckled. Mama and Addy laughed too. Then Addy said seriously, "I'd ask why there had to be slavery." "There didn't have to be slavery," Mama said. "People chose to have it. Folks do plenty of things they know is wrong." "If it wasn't for slavery, our whole family would be together," Addy said. That's why I hate Master Stevens. You know I don't like you talking that way, Mama scolded gently. But I do hate him, Addy insisted. He stole Papa and Sam away from us. Then you and I had to run away from him and leave Esther behind with Auntie Lula and Uncle Solomon. Papa spoke to Addy with understanding. What you're feeling is a lot of bitterness. I know, because I feel the same way sometimes. It's hard not to. Thank you for all your likes. I appreciate it. He sighed. But you got to know, Addy, anger and bitterness can be like weeds. If you let them grow, pretty soon they take over, and there ain't room for nothing else. Mama poured more water into Addy's drinking gourd. I feel angry too sometimes, she said. But I feel other things even stronger. I want to hold Esther in my arms and give Sam a big hug. I want to spend evenings talking to Auntie Lula and Uncle Solomon. I want... Mama stopped talking and stared off into the distance. Addy moved closer to Mama. She knew how sad Mama was and how much she missed the rest of the family. Touching the cowrie shell on her necklace, Addy remembered what Mama had told her. This shell was a reminder to hold on to her love for her family, even when she was far away from them. I want us all to be back together too, Addy said softly. So that's her necklace right there. The shell. Papa stood up and held out his hand to help Mama get up too. Let's clear out the rest of these weeds, he said. Then we can start planting. Addy worked steadily alongside Mama and Papa for another hour. When they finished weeding, they started planting. Addy watched her parents carefully drop seeds into the ground, and then, even more gently, smooth dirt over the seeds. Addy tried to be as careful as Mama and Papa. The seeds were precious. Not just because they cost money, but because the plants that they grew from these seeds would help her family be reunited. Addy knew she was planting seeds full of hope. Thank you so much for all of the likes. I really appreciate it. Thank you. It took a long time to plant the seeds, and Addy was tired when she finally walked to the stream to wash her sore hands in the water. But it was the good tiredness that comes from doing an important job. Papa, Addy said, tomorrow is Saturday. I don't have school. Can I come to work in the garden while you and Mama are at work? Mama and I got the day off tomorrow, said Papa, washing the dirt from his hands. None of us gonna go to work tomorrow. In the garden or any place else. Don't you remember, Addy? Tomorrow, the day of the big parade, the grand review. Thank you for all the likes. Thank you for getting me over 1,000 likes. I really appreciate that. I really do. Thank you. But that parade gonna have only white soldiers in it, said Addy. Why we gotta see them march? Because they're fighting, help bring slavery to an end, Mama said. We should honor them for being brave. Well, I hope when the colored soldiers come home, they have a parade for them, said Addy. They brave too. If Sam ever got to be a soldier, I'm sure he was real brave. I got no doubt about that, Papa said. I ain't never known your brother to be scared of a thing. Sam is something special. He brave and smart and funny, said Addy. Remember how he was always riddling me? Papa laughed. I got a riddle for you now, he said, as he gathered up the garden tools. What's big and red and sinking fast? The sun. We better get back to the boarding house. Can't I stay a little longer? Asked Addy. I want to water the seeds I planted. All right, said Papa, but come straight home soon as you finish. I will, promised Addy. She filled up her watering can at the stream as Mama and Papa left. Then she walked slowly up and down the rows, giving the newly planted seeds a generous drink of water. Addy felt pleased as she watered the garden. Her back still ached, but she didn't mind. The seeds they had planted lay safe under the blanket of rich soil, and soon, with help, they would grow. Well, 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 if it isn't the little plantation girl, said a sharp voice behind Addy. You look right at home in that dirt patch. Addy whirled around to see Harriet standing at the edge of the plot, smirking at her. Harriet was a girl from her school, and Addy did not like her. It ain't a dirt patch, Addy said. It's a garden, a vegetable garden. Vegetables? Asked Harriet. What's the matter? Don't your parents make enough money to buy food for you to eat? We're going to sell the vegetables, Addy said proudly. My papa can use the money to go back to the plantation to get my sister and look for my brother. Oh, yes, said Harriet. You told me about your lost brother. He's the one you think might have been a soldier. She smiled a superior smile. My uncle served with distinction in the 3rd Infantry. He'll be home any day now. My mother says she expects he is a hero and will have the medals to prove it. We're going to have a big party for him. Harriet turned and flounced away before Addy could say anything else. Addy watched her go, feeling hurt and angry and jealous. If only she knew as much about Sam as Harriet knew about her uncle. When Addy got back to the boarding house, she washed her hands carefully. Mama had set out a sheet of paper, a pen, and an inkwell on the table for Addy to write another letter about Esther and Sam. Addy knew the supplies cost precious money. She didn't want to make any mistakes when she wrote, because that would be wasteful. Mama and Papa sat next to Addy at the table and reminded her of what she should say. You've got to remember to say where we last saw everybody, Mama said. That's right, said Papa, and make sure you tell how they can find us here in Philadelphia. And don't forget to say we love them all, Mama reminded Addy. Addy smiled. I won't leave that part out, she said as she dipped her pen in the ink and carefully began writing. Mama and Papa watched as she wrote, their faces full of concern. Scritch, scratch. Papa watched Addy move the pen across the paper, even though he couldn't read or write. And then this is her letter, which I'm going to read to you in a second. June 9th, 1865. Dear friends, can you help us find our family? Please, Solomon and Lula Morgan. They caring for our dear baby Esther Walker. We last seen them last summer on the plantation, belonging to Master Stevens. The plantation is some 20 miles north of Raleigh. We need information about Samuel Walker also. He about 17 years old. He was sold from the Stevens plantation last summer. We don't know where he was sold to. If you can help us, write to Ben Walker on South Street in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We want to find them very much because we love them all. Ben Walker. When she finished, she read the letter to her parents. That's real nice, Addy, Mama said. Papa nodded. You write real good, he said. We'll take the letter to the Quaker Aid Society first thing in the morning before the parade. Addy held the letter in her hands for a moment. She thought about Harriet's knowing where her uncle was. Harriet could send her uncle a letter any time she wanted to. This letter gotta get somebody who knows something about Esther and Sam, Addy thought. It just got to. Then she folded the letter carefully. She hoped the letter, like the seed she planted in the garden, would help her family be together again.